Hi there! Today we're diving into the world of the best cheap vintage lenses for Canon EOS R cameras. While modern lenses offer exceptional image quality, there's something undeniably special about vintage lenses. I'll admit I enjoy handling them. I can take them apart without a significant mishap, and when using them, they can add character to my shots. It's true that I use my modern Canon RF lenses in my video business, but when I want to have some fun, I absolutely love using my vintage lenses. But here's the best part. You don't have to break the bank to experience the magic of vintage lenses on your Canon EOS R cameras. When it comes to choosing vintage lenses, I do have some criteria in mind. First, it should be reasonably sharp. Second, it should be capable of creating some characterful bokeh. Third, it should be easily available in a wide range of focal lengths and apertures. Fourth, it should be easy to adapt onto a Canon EOS R camera. And last but not least, it should be very affordable. Now, to fulfill all of these points, my top recommendation is the Olympus Zuiko range. They're compact, solidly built, the image quality is generally good, many use the same filter size, so that'll save you money, and you'll not pay very much for the 28, 50, 135 and 200mm models. To get started, I'd suggest getting the 50mm f1.4 or f1.8 lenses. These are fabulous standard lenses that can produce excellent images and are perfectly affordable, which brings us to the cost. The Olympus OM System Zuiko lenses were made 20 to 40 years ago, some in large numbers, so generally they're inexpensive. I got the Zuiko Auto S 50mm f1.4 for $72 on eBay, and the Zuiko MC Auto S 50mm f1.8 for only $42. One of these would be the first lens I'd look at getting, my preference being the 50mm f1.4. The bokeh is wild. The 28mm f2.8 is another lens I'd get early on, but as with most wide-angle lenses, you'll need to get close to your subject to make the background blurry. This Zuiko 28mm lens cost me $44, but I also have this OM System Clubman MC Auto 28mm f2.8 that would cost about $25. Getting a little bit more specialist but still affordable are the Zuiko MC Auto T 135mm f2.8 and the eZuiko Auto T 135mm f3.5. They cost me $35 and $53 respectively. I've also got the Tosner Toshiba MC 135mm f2.8 with the OM System mount, and that cost me $44. A bit longer in focal length is the eZuiko Auto T 200mm f4. Again on eBay it cost me $83. Finally, I've got this Vivitar Series 1 VMC macro focusing zoom 70 to 210mm f3.5. You should be able to pick it up on eBay for about $50 to $60. Lastly, I picked up this Tamron OM System 2x teleconverter. It was new old stock. Obviously, it was sitting in the back of some store somewhere for the last 20 years, and it's in perfect condition. It was a snip at just $25. On average, I spent about $40 on most of these lenses. Even the most expensive of these was less than $100. But if you want a rare model in excellent condition from perhaps a seller in Japan, then you will obviously pay more. When purchasing vintage lenses, make sure to inspect the lens carefully for any visible damage or fungus. You want to ensure that the lens is in good optical condition, and second, make sure that the focus and aperture rings turn smoothly and the aperture blades don't have oil on them. So once you've bought your vintage OM Zuiko lens, You've then got to adapt it onto your Canon EOS R camera body. I use a KNF Concept OM to EOS R adapter. I have a video about adapting vintage OM system lenses onto EOS R cameras and how to use them. I'll put a link up there in the corner. Now, although these vintage lenses are cheap and great to handle, what can you do with them on a Canon mirrorless camera? Well, photographers back in the 1980s did macro, portrait, landscape and wildlife photography. But with these lenses on modern camera bodies, we've got it a lot easier than back in the 1980s. We've got tools to help us with exposure and focus. So we can expect many types of photography to be possible with these vintage Olympus OM system lenses, but surely not bird photography. Well, take a look at this coal tit. The image was taken with the Vivitar 70 to 210mm lens, plus the Tamron 2x teleconverter. I admit my keeper rate was way down, but I did get this shot, and it wasn't a one-off. Here's a young blue tit, and then he came down to feed at the sunflower seeds, as did this dunnock. So what else can you do? Well, I've used this Zuiko 135mm lens for astrophotography, stacking several 8-second shots of the Pleiades for an image that clearly shows the blue reflection nebulosity around the stars. And I've used this Olympus Zuiko 200mm f4 lens with an objective grating to capture stellar spectra that show both absorption and emission lines, which is quite amazing. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that these vintage lenses are perfect or that they're as good as modern lenses, because they're not. However, they're cheap, quite good, often producing images with character, and above all, they're really fun to use. If you want to try vintage OM Zuiko lenses, first check with senior relatives. They may have their old film gear tucked away in a cupboard somewhere. Charity shops and thrift stores are often a good place to look for vintage lenses, and of course, have a look on eBay. So go ahead and unleash some vintage creativity. If you found this helpful, please like and share this video. If you'd like to see more, hit that notification bell. And if you want to support this channel, you can buy me a coffee. Look down in the description for details. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.